All right, so I've just zoomed in with Andy Garvey from Tidy Slabs. Tidy Slabs is a concrete foundation specialist. They're based out in Korokoro in Petone, Oahu. They've got a good bunch of guys who would normally be out there rolling around putting slabs down. So thanks for dialing in, Andy. Firstly, how are you going?
Good. Yeah. We talked about this earlier, but I got my 20 minutes or 30 minutes of meditation this morning, and my daughter just had set up a day spa for Nicole and I upstairs, which I got to enjoy for 5 minutes before our meeting. And I've had back-to-back video chats, which seems to be the norm. It's kind of bizarre, but yeah.
Cool. Yeah. All right, straight into it. The team around you is obviously really important, and it will be now more than ever and coming out of this. But I was really keen to hear what you're doing to keep your team engaged over the lockdown.
Yeah, I mean, team engagement was once I got over the shock of going into lockdown, became something that's quite important to me as an action that I need to take as a leader. We've talked about this a lot, Cam, but got a lot of clarity out of this lockdown eventually, going through a process of what I was here to do. And one of them is to lead this team through some improvement. And that, essentially is engaging the guys to think about our business, what our place is in the market and the industry in New Zealand, and how we can do better and be the best versions of ourselves out there. And so how did we sort of engage people to do that? Is we got the top level of or the wider group of the supervision team to start thinking about that. We know that it's going to be harder market when we come out, and that the fact that we want to get better is going to put us on a good footing to succeed in something that's going to be really hard. I've tried really hard to nail that point home at every moment I can, and every interaction I can with my staff.
A lot of interaction. Yeah.
I'm engaged in a lot of chats with a lot of people a lot of the time, and I think we've done a pretty good job in bringing that supervision team together, establishing that sort of focus or that goal of let's use this 4 weeks to come out the other side the best versions of ourselves we can be. I'm pretty sure they're all on board with it, and so the result of that is we've had about 12 to 14 guys pretty consistently in improvement meetings. Just be one held just about every day, I'd say. They're broken up into groups and 3 or 4 focused on certain areas, and every day it's a conversation facilitated by someone, either myself or Kim, you've done one, and we've got another facilitator that helps. To me, it's gold. These sessions are just gold. We've pulled out like a few massive gems out of this process that has genuinely got me excited, and I believe it's got all of that team, the supervision team, excited by what the future will look like, and how different it will be, and how some of these pain points, frustrations, bottlenecks, whatever you want to call them, the things that you go back at the end of the day and go, why the hell is it like that? Or why does that happen? Like, it's so clear that it needs to be simple and different. And if only I was in charge, I'd make it this way. Well, we got to have all those conversations. And I'd say it's major engagement, right? It's stuff that you don't have time to do and you wish you did. Just to relax, sit back, and really try and shoot the fat on something. So change improvement projects, that's been our form of engagement that we've really driven home, and I think we're pretty successful at it.
Well, from what I've seen, I'd say there's a really high level of engagement, and you can kind of see it by people just wanting to help, as you say, like giving an opinion, or what if it was like this?
What's really important about that, and not to give, I don't want to give advice how to do that because I'm learning how to do this at the same time, but when I reflect back on trying to drive change projects in the past, which is pretty much my full-time job, I'm always trying to change and get better. Taking those moments to really, when someone suggests something, it's a big moment, it's a really big moment, so, don't take it lightly, definitely don't belittle it in any way, but also give it enough respect and thought from you and active scrutiny in public that it deserves, so that it can be really thought out, and that person that brought it forward feels like they've been heard. And particularly when it becomes, and genuinely, majority of the things that have been brought up have been absolute stunners that we didn't even need to go, no, we're not doing that. So, but even if we was something that you wouldn't want to do, the process of going through eliminating it with the team and that person is extremely important, because then they get buy-in and not doing it if you choose not to, but you get everyone else's buy-in and saying, hey, I brought an idea forward, or they did, we're doing it now, and this is the result.
Mm.
It's been really rewarding and fun.
It encourages others' ideas as well, right? Because they sort of see.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, that, like, as far as a business owner goes, if you're on your own trying to come up with every idea and you think that's your job and your job alone, like, you're going to have a real sort of narrow direction, basically, or narrow point of view. And I've been that way, I'm still that way. But the more I bring in these guys, the more into this ideas space, the more colour and the more creativity and genuinely these bottlenecks that I didn't even know existed are now getting ironed out before my eyes. So it's fun.
Oh, epic. Yeah. One of the other things I kind of wanted to touch on, which I know you're passionate about, and you invest quite a bit of effort in, is around their headspaces. And it's obviously a vulnerable area over this break. Is there anything that you're doing specifically around their engagement to kind of help their sort of their mental well-being or their physical well-being? Is there any initiatives around that?
I mean, there's a handful. I took a bit of your advice right off the back of this, Cam. There's quite a lot to take in. We've just been locked down, the first time in history. It's bizarre. We've got to process it. It's also a break. It's also a break in the middle of like what has been a boom for this industry, and particularly a company that is constantly growing. We've had these guys that have been with us from the start. We've been stretching them, as with every single step, we've stretched them a bit further, and we've put more on and more responsibility in there. And it's been relentless and hasn't given up. And in our 4 years existence, there's been very few times that you could have a break. All of our guys deserved to take it. And so Cam's advice, your advice was just give them the first, I think we shut down on Wednesday. Don't get in touch with them until the following Monday or something along those lines, which was short. It's 4 or 5 days, but just give them that space. And I did that, and I thought that was really good advice. So just little things, Facebook chat messages, constant mental health reminders going out, sharing different pages and tools and ideas. And then coming into this last week, we've just started doing, we did a workshop on resilience with all of the guys last week, introduced some concepts around looking after yourself. We had the Resilience Institute in that gave us an app to use that we can check sort of our resilience spiral, which has been pretty good. Yesterday, we had a communications expert in, and she came in and did a pretty great presentation, but it was sort of like a fundamental concept around your personal well-being, what we can control and what we can't control, just really good rules for life. And that whole focus on engagement was only around mental health and well-being for that lower level. That's all I cared about for that part. Yeah.
Awesome.